Hello everyone. Today we are going to start with a new series for design and analysis of algorithm. Now this subject is for FYCS SEM 2. In this we are going to cover the portion for Bsc Computer Science first year. So today we are going to cover the Unit 1 question. Unit 1 questions will be divided into two videos. So let's begin for today's. Unit 1 include Introduction to Algorithm and Introduction to Data Structure. We'll be dividing Unit 1 in two videos. Let's start. Now see, the first question is explain what is data structure. Explain the types of it. Now, data structure. The word data means information which is going to be processed, or you can say a process information which describes some data or which describing some things, information, isn't it? Whereas the structure is a way by which we are going to arrange or going to present our data. Okay, so in together data structure means organizing the data in the memory. The data structure can be organized in two ways, either linear or non-linear way. Okay, so we have here again the categories, that is there are two type of data structure which is available for programming purpose. सबसे पहले हम देख रहे हैं यहाँ पर primitive data structure. Primitive means ऐसा डेटा और यू कैन से ऐसा डेटा स्ट्रक्चर जहाँ पर आप केवल एक टाइप का डेटा स्टोर करोगे. फॉर एग्जांपल यू कैन से कैरेक्टर, इंटीजर, फ्लोट, ऐसे डेटा टाइप्स को आप क्या कहेंगे? प्रिमिटिव डेटा स्ट्रक्चर कहेंगे. ओके, सो प्रिमिटिव डेटा स्ट्रक्चर इज अ फंडामेंटल टाइप ऑफ डेटा स्ट्रक्चर दैट स्टोर्स द डेटा ऑफ ओनली वन टाइप. Whereas the non-primitive data structure is a type of data structure which is user defined, and here you are going to store collection. Okay, this is a way, or you can say a trick by which you can remember primitive केवल one. Okay, केवल एक ही आप उसमें डेटा स्टोर कर सकते हो. Whereas non-primitive there will be collection of entities. Okay, collection of data. For example, you can say array, stack, queue, linked list. Okay. Now see the hierarchy. Data structure is of two category. We have seen primitive and non-primitive. Primitive जहाँ पर आप केवल एक ही डेटा वैल्यू स्टोर करोगे. फॉर एग्जाम्पल इंटीजर, कैरेक्टर, फ्लोट, सो फोर्थ. ओके, whereas non-primitive is again divided into two categories, that is linear and non-linear. Linear मतलब नाम से ही आपको पता चल रहा होगा. Linear means जो sequentially है. Okay, in the above image we can observe that the classification of data structure, the data structure is classified into two types, that is primitive and non-primitive. In the case of primitive data structure, it contains fundamental data types such as integer, float, character, pointer, and these fundamental data type can hold a single type of value. Okay, for example, integer variable can hold the integer type of value, float variable can hold floating type, and character char value, so forth. Okay, now see the first category, that is linear data structure. Data structure in which the data elements are arranged sequentially or linearly. Okay, where each element is attached to its previous and next adjacent element is called as a linear data structure. Okay, it is going to be sequential. For example, you can say array, stack, queue, linked list. Okay, now this linear is again categorized into two categories, that is static and dynamic. Static is again it can be array, whereas dynamic we may have linked list, stack, and queue. Okay, now see what is the meaning of static data structure. Static data structure has a fixed memory size. Means once you have created, you cannot change the size. Okay, it is easier to access the element in a static data structure. For example, array is a static data item, or you can say data type. Okay, then the second category is a dynamic data structure. Now the word dynamic means changing, which modifies. Okay, in dynamic data structure, the size is not fixed. It can be randomly updated during the runtime, which may be considered efficient concerning the memory's complexity of the code. Means as your requirement, you can modify it during the runtime also. Okay, for example, you have stack, queue, so forth. Now the second category is non-linear. Non-linear is again divided into two categories, that is trees and graphs. Data structures where the data elements are not placed sequentially or linearly are called non-linear data structure. In a non-linear data structure, we can't traverse all the elements in a single run only. For example, non-linear data structures are trees and graph. Okay, here the data items will be not stored sequentially. Okay, it will be stored as per the memory available. Okay, it is not going to be sequential. Okay, so this is the first question which we have done. Data structure is categorized into two categories, that is primitive and non-primitive. Primitive is again linear and non-linear. Linear, we have static, dynamic. Static means fixed memory location, whereas dynamic means changing. We have the type also for dynamic. We may have linked list, stack and queue. And non-linear means trees and graphs. Non-linear means that the data items are not stored sequentially. Okay, it is going to vary. Okay, so this is the first question which is very important. You have to write this much of answer for this question. Okay, now moving to next question, that is write the difference between primitive and non-primitive data structure. Now what is the meaning of primitive? We have seen that is it is going to store only one value, whereas non-primitive multiple data item. Okay, primitive data structure is a kind of data structure that store data of only one type, whereas non-primitive data structure is a type of data structure that can store the data of more than one type. Okay, for example, here we have integer, character and float, and here we have array, linked list and stack. Now primitive data structure will contain some value, that is it cannot be null. We cannot leave it null. Okay, we have to give some certain value, whereas non-primitive data structure consists of null value. We may leave it. Okay, we may give null values. Okay, now the size depends upon the type of the data structure, which data structure you have used. For example, integer 2 bytes, character 1 byte, so forth. Okay, now in case of non-primitive data structure, size is not fixed. Then it start with lowercase and this is start with uppercase, although it is not compulsory, it is your choice what name you want to give to your variable. Okay, primitive data structure can be used to call the methods, and non-primitive data structure cannot be used to call the methods. Okay, so this is the difference between primitive and non-primitive. This is question number 2A. Now moving to next question, that is 2B, linear and non-linear data structure. Linear, we have seen in the question number 1 only. Linear means sequential, whereas non-linear means not sequential. Correct. The data item that are arranged in sequential order, that is one after the other, whereas the data items are arranged in non-sequential order, that is hierarchical manner. Then linear, all items are present on single layer. Okay, whereas non-linear, the data items will be present at different layers. It can transfers on single run, means the entire code we can or we can say you can read entire data in a single pass, but for this one it require multiple run. That is, if we start from the first element, it might not possible to transfer all the element in a single pass. Okay, here the memory utilization is not efficient. Here the memory this structure follows the utilization of memory in a efficient way. That is the reason this category is present in data structure. Okay, different structure utilizes memory in different efficient way depending upon the need. The time complexity increases with the data size, and here the time complexity is going to be same. For example, here we may have array, stack and queue, and here we may have tree, graph and map. Okay, so this is about the question number 2B. Now we have done in question number 2 difference between primitive and non-primitive and linear and non-linear. Now moving to third question, that is, what is an algorithm? Algorithm design, write the difference between algorithm and program. Now this is again one of the important question. An algorithm is a step-by-step and logical approach that define a systematic process for computer to solve a specific problem. In the field of computer, you can say engineering or writing a program, algorithm is the first step where you are going to design your program. ओके एल्गोरिथम एक ऐसा प्रोसेस है जहाँ पर आप अपना प्रोग्राम, फ्यूचर प्रोग्राम कैसे लिखने वाले हैं, कैसे इम्प्लीमेंट करने वाले हैं, फ्रॉम ज़ीरो टू द रनिंग प्रोग्राम यू आर गोइंग टू राइट एंटायर स्टेप्स. आपको हर एक स्टेप आपको वहाँ पर मेंशन करना होता है. ओके, इट कंसिस्ट ऑफ अ सेट ऑफ रूल्स दैट डिफाइन हाउ अ टास्क इज टू बी एग्जीक्यूटेड टू गेट द एक्सपेक्टेड रिजल्ट. Algorithms are conceptual and can be described using language or flow chart. Okay, either you can write or you can draw the flow charts. We can implement them in different programming languages. We will use computer for solving a specific problem. We need to tell this steps to the solution clearly to the computer. For example, suppose you want to add two numbers. So how you are going to write the algorithm for this? First of all, you will be starting your program taking two number from the user, then adding both the number using arithmetic operator plus, and then you will be simply displaying the result and then terminating the program. Okay, this is the simple steps, or you can say simple algorithm for addition of two numbers. Correct? Okay, now what are the characteristics of algorithm? An algorithm should be unambiguous, means it should be unique. It should take well-defined inputs. The algorithm should take well-defined outputs. It should be simple, generic, and can be executed using available resources. The algorithm must be finite. It must be language independent. Okay, means you can use any of the language for writing the algorithm. Okay, now what is the difference between algorithm and program? Algorithm and program, as we have seen, algorithm is a well-defined process where we are going to write the program in stepwise manner so that we are able to solve a given problem. Whereas program refers to set of instruction for a computer to follow. A program can be implementation of many algorithm, or a program can even contain no algorithm. Okay. In general, program is basically a set of instruction which is going to be executed, and it is going to return you some output, certain output. Correct? Now, algorithm is, you can say, it's a abstract steps. Abstract means what? Which is not available, but it is going to be executed. Okay, we are imagining that it is there. Okay, for processing one sequence of related information into a sequence of derived information. Okay, whereas program is conceptually related to the coding language which you have chosen. It may not be conceptually related. Okay, it is written using plain English language, or it can be understood those who are non-programming background. For this we required a language expert. You can say a programmer is required for writing as well as for understanding the program. Now, it can be expressed in natural language, flowchart, pseudocode, and in variety of programming language. And here you are going to write the program using computer language. Okay, but for that you will be definitely required a compiler or an interpreter to translate the language which is going to be understood by computer system. Okay, an algorithm can be executed by a person. Here we required a computer for execution. Okay, now you can also write few points. Algorithm is written before designing, or you can say during the designing phase we are supposed to write the algorithm, whereas program is always written during the implementation phase. Okay, then algorithm, anyone can write algorithm. A normal human being, a person who has knowledge about the any of the language, English, Hindi, Marathi, can write the algorithm. But for writing program, we definitely required a programmer or a expert person who knows any of the programming language, C, C++, Java, Python, any of the programming language. Okay, so this was the difference between algorithm and program. This was question number 3. Okay. Now next question is, explain in detail asymptotic notation. Now what is the meaning of asymptotic notation? To define the complexity in more bounded way. जो आपने प्रोग्राम लिखा है उसकी कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी क्या है, ओके उसको कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी को रिप्रेजेंटेशन के लिए हमने यहाँ पर डेटा स्ट्रक्चर में वी हैव यू कैन से देयर इज अ टर्म कॉल्ड एज असिम्प्टोटिक नोटेशन, जिसका पर्पस यही है कि कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी बताना कि आपका जो प्रोग्राम है वो कितना कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी और यू कैन से कितना कॉम्प्लेक्स होगा. Okay, asymptotic notation is used to describe the run time of an algorithm. How much time the algorithm take with the given input. Okay, now there are 3 different notation. We have here big O notation, big omega notation and theta notation. सबसे पहले देखते हैं बिग ओ नोटेशन. बिग ओ नोटेशन को आप सिंपली ऐसे याद कर सकते हैं. इट इज़ अ हाईएस्ट पॉसिबल वैल्यू. इट इज़ द हाईएस्ट पॉसिबल वैल्यू. मीन suppose there is one small trick to remember this term. Suppose you have been given 2000 rupees by your parents and आपको अभी उसमें जाकर कुछ गुड्स वगैरह परचेज करनी है. तो अब ये 2000 जो है ये क्या है, ये हाईएस्ट अपर बाउंड है. ओके, इससे लेस आप को नहीं मिलने वाला है. ओके, बट आपको पता है कि 2000 से क्रॉस नहीं होने वाला है. जो भी आप प्रोडक्ट लेने के लिए गए हो मार्केट में, 2000 एक अपर बाउंड है जिसका जो प्राइस है, आप डिफरेंट शॉप में जा रहे हो, मे बी वो आपको 1800 में मिल जाए, 1500 में मिल जाए, बट वो 2000 के अंदर ही मिलेगा, 2000 के बाहर नहीं जाने वाला. ओके, दैट इज कॉल्ड एज द हाईएस्ट पॉसिबल आउटपुट वैल्यू. ओके, वो फिक्स्ड एक वैल्यू है जो कि वो क्रॉस नहीं होने वाला. उतना तो वो यू कैन से that is the highest bound. Okay, above which it is not going to be utilized. Okay, now the second category is big omega. Big omega is the lowest bound. Okay, tightest lower bound means कम से कम इतने पैसे तो लगेंगे ही उस प्रोडक्ट को परचेस करने के लिए. You can remember this way. Okay, for example, अगर सपोज आपको 500 रुपीज़ दिया गया है कोई प्रोडक्ट परचेस करने के लिए, आप डिफरेंट शॉप में घूम रहे हो, बट आपको मिनिमम जो MRP है दैट इज़ 500, उतना तो आपको वो देना ही पड़ेगा टू टेक दैट प्रोडक्ट. ओके, सो दैट इज़ द टाइटेस्ट लोअर बाउंड. 500 रुपीज़ जो है वो फिक्स्ड अमाउंट हो गई है. अब उससे कम में आपको 400 में 350 में कभी नहीं मिलेगा. क्यों? क्योंकि वो जो 500 वैल्यू है वो क्या है, वो फिक्स्ड है. ओके, सो ओमेगा, बिग ओमेगा इज अ टाइटेस्ट लोअर बाउंड. ओके, देन द थर्ड कैटेगरी इज अ थीटा नोटेशन. थीटा नोटेशन इज अ ऑल्सो कॉल्ड एज अ एवरेज बाउंड और द एग्जैक्ट बाउंड. ओके, मीन्स आपको पता है कि ये जो कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी है फॉर दिस पर्टिकुलर एल्गोरिथम, ये इतना ही कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी लेगा, इससे ज़्यादा नहीं लेगा, इससे कम नहीं लेगा. मीन्स इट इज़ गोइंग टू गिव यू एन एवरेज कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी. ओके, एवरेज वो वैल्यू देगा, एग्जैक्ट बाउंड कि हाँ ये इतने में ही होगा, इतना ही प्रोडक्ट जो है वो कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी वो लेगा. ओके, सो ये 3 कैटेगरीज हैं जो कि बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट है. असिम्प्टोटिक नोटेशन, big O notation, big omega notation and theta. Big O notation, tightest, highest, you can say highest upper bound. This is highest lower bound. Then we have theta notation, means average bound or also called as a exact bound. Okay. The next question is, this is a short note, type of complexity. Complexity measure how the resources in the uh, algorithm is utilizing. Okay, for example, time. Okay, but it is going to fluctuate as the problem grows in size. Now there are different type of complexities are available, but for your theory paper you are supposed to write minimum 5 types. Minimum 5 types are required for this question. Now this is very simple. We when you have complexity which is taking a constant number, okay, when the complexity is taking constant number, you are supposed to say the runtime complexity will be order of 1, okay, which is a constant value. Means ये एक number ले रहा है, for example 1, 5, 10 like that, okay, वो उससे beyond नहीं जा रहा है, till it is giving you some specific, sorry, it is taking some specific number which is constant. Okay, then next is logarithm. Logarithm value, it take order of log n step, where the base of logarithm is often 2. Okay, now in this case, when the algorithm is performing operation on an element and it is taking a complexity where the count of the operation is very important, and it is usually mentioned in order of n log n. Usually this complexity is for binary search algorithm. Okay, we'll be seeing this in the upcoming videos, how it is evaluated. Then next is order of n, when you are supposed to transfers all the element. In that cases you are going to say the complexity is order of n, and it is called as a linear. Okay, then next linear log. Okay, linear log, when you are performing n operation on a given set, then in that case, for example, there are 1000 elements, then it is going to take 10,000 steps for execution. Okay, linear log. Then you have quadratic, when you are traversing the element for n square time. In that case you will say the complexity is order of n square. Then next is cubic, when you are traversing thrice. Okay, then you have exponential. When there is a exponential dependability with the size of the input data. In this case you will say the complexity is order of 2 raised to n, or even it is some termed as order of n factorial, order of n raised to k factorial. Okay, then the last question for today is, what is stack? Explain the different operation of it. Now stack, we have seen in question number 1, it's a linear data. It is a linear data structure that follows a particular order in which the operations are performed. Okay. Stack is again linear data structure, means it is going to be stored sequentially, correct? To implement the stack, it is required to maintain the pointer to the top of the stack, which is the last element of the inserted, because we can access the element only on the top of the stack. For example, in this stack we have to insert and we have to pop the element from the top only. Okay, stack follows LIFO. LIFO stand for last in first out, means whatever you want to insert, whatever you want to remove, you are supposed to remove from the top. Okay, last in first out. ओके जो भी आप लास्ट में इंसर्ट करेंगे वही सबसे पहले बाहर जाएगा. दिस स्ट्रैटेजी स्टेट्स दैट द एलिमेंट दैट इज इंसर्टेड लास्ट विल बी कम आउट फर्स्ट. ओके, यू कैन टेक अ पाइल ऑफ प्लेट्स kept on the top of the each other as a real life example. Okay, here you are supposed to remove from the top only. Now what are the basic operation on the stack? In order to make manipulation in stack, we have your push. Push is for inserting into the stack. Then we have pop, that is for removing the element from the stack. Then we have a top. Top is for returning the top element from the stack. Then is empty is a method which is going to return you true or false. Okay, if the stack is empty, it will definitely return you true, otherwise false. Size, return the size of the stack. Okay, so this was question number 5. In this question you are supposed to draw this diagram, and you are supposed to mention the pop and push operations also. Okay, so today we have done 5 question. In our next class we'll be seeing next question based on unit 1 only. That will be part 2. Okay, thank you so much everyone.